Welcome to the bonus section of the Power of You Telesummit. We are so glad to have you here. We know that you have been blessed by this week's summits, and really we hope that you've been inspired, encouraged by the women who have come, been transparent, told you about their struggles, and hopefully offered you tips and techniques that will help you with your struggles. We're going to get started right away. Diane, tell us what you do, why you do it, and what inspires you about it.
Okay, I'm Diane Morgan, and I am an energy healing conduit, meaning that I do energy healing work, but I am the conduit for God. I am also a spiritual teacher and an angel intuitive. So what inspires me is my love for mankind, humankind, my love for God, to help others heal mind, body, and spirit. I have a joke with God that I had my spiritual awakening when I was 53, and someone told me in a reading before I started doing this work that I was going to live to be 106, and I said, well, the first 53 God gave to me, the next 53 are His. So what inspires me is my love for everyone, to help them heal. I left a job in corporate America after 20 plus years at the age of 47, not really knowing what I wanted to do and trying to reinvent myself. I took a course and became a travel agent, and that was wonderful. It was exciting. I got to go on some beautiful trips, but it still wasn't feeding my soul. And through a course of events, and I had my awakening, which to me, the awakening is only your awareness of your connection. And once I had that awakening, it was like I wanted to know more and more and more. Where was this coming from? And you had someone on the other night that talked about your intuition. And what I teach is how we connect with spirit. And through our clairs, which is the French word for clear, through our thoughts, through our hearing, through our seeing, and through our feeling. And I love working with others to help them discover that, to develop that, to explore that, so that they can get their own answers from the spiritual realm. As you said the other night, you go in your closet and you get quiet. Mm-hmm. There is some truth to that. When you get quiet, you can hear God speaking. When I have a client and I'm doing energy healing work and Jesus has come in, or different archangels have come in, or deceased loved ones come in, and I'm bringing them closure, I'm bringing them healing messages from the spiritual realm. And we all have the ability to do that. And as she said the other night, and that's what I teach, it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. So that's a joy for me in teaching, which is my passion. Watching the students in the interactive workshops that I give, where I partner them up with others, and them developing their skills and realizing they can actually do this. And then watching them in meditations, and you can see when you make that connection. And it's like my heart is so full of joy, because I want everyone to feel the love that I feel. And I want everyone to be able to get their guidance. And I know that it's possible. God would not have given those gifts to one or two or a chosen few. We're all His children, so He gives them to all of us. And that's what inspires me. That's what I love. And everyone has something that's their passion, helping others. So what I really realized about myself, my passion, is to be in service to others.
So true. And Bernadette, tell us what you do, what inspires you, and why you do it.
Oh, where do I start? I suppose what I do at the moment is I combine all my lived experiences and professional experiences and my heavenly experiences to help others or work with others through difficulties. Like, I come with an extensive medical background, working with cancer patients. Death and dying were a big part of my life. As a psychotherapist, I work with suicide and the survivors or the families of, which are very, very challenging areas. Two cusps, one fighting to live and the other fighting to die. So for me, again, nature and wildlife, and as Diane says, the love of humanity, but also of nature, had took me down a very spiritual path. In like, I am what you call an empathic, intuitive, medical psychic. So I feel people's emotional pain. When they sit in front of me as a psychotherapist, when I'd sit with them, I would know this person has been abused, but they may have come because their husband, the relationship is bad. I could not name it. I had that gift, and I couldn't name it because the person in that scenario has to bring it to you. But illness and life circumstances took me out of my professional work. And so I set up a place called Angel of Hope to give people hope. And I always say money isn't my God, but we need money to survive, but to give back to people. And I suppose, as Diane was talking, I have a huge connection with Mother Mary, and I have a huge connection with St. Therese of Lisieux, and also the angels. And I can only say I'm here and I'm alive, and I've survived domestic violence because of them, because of my connection with them. And today I run workshops, and I hope to take that global, and I work on a one-to-one to empower women, but not just women, men, and victims of any kind of abuse or any kind of pain. Like, you can have someone who never lived their life because of lost childhood. It doesn't have to be all sad, because the area I worked in was very sad. It's kind of empowering with the love and support of my angels and my own intuitive sense to put them down their path. Like scenarios. Like, I met a young woman who she was sent to me as a psychotherapist initially, and then after she finished there, she came back to me. 5 children and pregnant, all under the age of 6, with nothing. She now owns her own business, is successful, but it's because belief, and I guess your faith. For me, it's like I work with Archangel Michael, the protector. He's a huge part of my life. Archangel Raphael, he's the professional, the nurse, the psychotherapist within me. And Gabriel for his intuition. But I work with Mother Mary for overall guidance, and I frequently visit the shrines, and I've had experiences there. So, and plus I'm creative. I'm writing, thanks to you, Teresa, to the Power of Voice, and with Sunday, the Warrior Women books. All of those have put me on a path, and it's my story. And again, I suppose I'm very academic, but that's not who I am. I'm living my life right now. I don't know if this is making sense, and I'm following my path and my calling. And it's not for me. It's not selfish. It's to help others to make their life in some way better, and that's global. Not just it's one-to-one. It's local, but it's also global. Like yesterday, I have a lot of people reach out to me in death. And death seems to follow me. To people who have family members on life support yesterday, just for example. And they're very tragic to have to pray for them in some faith. And I do. I pray an awful lot. And I have a huge, like I said, huge divine connection. And if I can help somebody on their journey in some small way to connect with the angels, or regardless of faith or culture, religion, whatever, or to find some meaning, to find themselves. I think there's a lot of lost souls out there. And we all talk about this, our bodies and our spiritual side, but our soul is eternal. It's the light that shines within all of us. It's the light, or it's like that beam that will go on forever. And some of us lose it. Yeah, and some of us get lost. And it's bringing people back to that, bringing them back to oneness and to their spirituality and to our powers that be. And for me, like I said, it's the angels, Our Lady, Jesus, and some saints. I don't know if that makes sense, but I have workshops here and my own place here, and I do a lot of work around that with other complementary therapies.
I think that's so true, that some people are so lost. That's why it's so important that we follow our calling and do our work, because we are sent here not for ourselves, but to be the light to someone else. The pain that you went through, the purpose that you find, is not for you. It wasn't meant for you. It wasn't meant for you to hold it up and keep it stuffed down inside and just, that's my personal tragedy. I don't want anyone else to know about it. Because there's someone else out there globally, internationally, however you want to put it. They may not be in your neighborhood. They may not be at your church. They may not be of the religion you are. And for me, religion that's a man-made thing. I mean, I personally think that God is everywhere. He doesn't care where you worship him, how you speak to him, how you come to him. All of those things that you were taught in childhood, because I was raised Baptist, and there's a lot of restrictions in Baptist. We the only ones going to heaven. In case y'all didn't know, they'll tell you every Sunday, we the only ones going to be there. It's going to be lonely there because nobody else is going. But I don't believe that, because I remember when my grandparents were who took us to church, and my mother was by the wayside. She didn't go to services. And there was a lady behind us who took us to church, and it was a black woman. And she took us to an all-gospel church, which if you've ever been to all-gospel, it's like the total radical opposite of Baptist. They're speaking in tongues. They're hollering to the angel. They're rolling around in the floor. It was scary as heck. I'm just going to be honest with you. The first 2 times, I was sure that they probably were not going where I was going. But after I listened with my heart instead of with my head of what everybody had told me, I knew that they had something I didn't have. Because in my church, I went through the preacher. You know, I came every Sunday for the good word. I didn't open that Bible Monday through Saturday. I just waited on Sunday for him to give me the word. And a lot of the people who got the word on Sunday, Saturday night, they were probably out with my mom at the bars. You know, they just came on Sunday for the good word. And then that was the end of their deal. But at the church that I went to with her, Miss Bertha, they had it all week long. They had something I desired. They had a connection directly. They didn't have to go through some man who said he was the man of God and he'll take their lesson or their prayers and petitions on. They sat right there at the altar and cried upon God themselves. And I wanted that. I craved that. I needed that. I didn't understand why we didn't have that in our church. And so that's the church I went to. And I remember as I got grown, I brought my girls to that church. They were raised in that church. And I took my niece. I never forget, she was 5 at the time. And she normally went to church with my mother. And I took her to our church where you jumped up and down, we hollered, and the music was great. She loved it. But she went back to church with my mother the next Sunday at Southern Baptist. And about halfway through one of their hymns, she jumped up in the pew and said, "I got the Spirit." It did not work out well. It did not work out well, y'all. It did not go well. You know, but the fact that you try to crush that out of people when whatever they're feeling, however they want to wash up, it's their business. It's between them and God. It's a personal relationship. And so I think it's very important that we follow our callings and we follow what we're put here to do, regardless of what religion says for you to do, because it's a personal relationship. He died on that cross personally. He didn't say, "Oh, this is just for the Baptist," or "These are only for the Catholics," or only. There was no such thing. They were followers of Christ. And so that's where as mankind, we get it mixed up. We get lost in all of the rules. We get lost in all the taglines and all of the labels that we put on each other. Instead of just loving from our hearts and loving from our souls and just opening ourselves up to feel that love. Because for me, it's everything. Spirituality is a personal experience. It's however you connect with God, whatever path you take with him. And Diane, you forgot to tell us that you are also an author.
I am also an author, yes. I've co-authored many books, and I'm delighted to say I wrote my story, which was such a healing for my soul. Going through my life, and it wasn't until writing the story and all the tears because of all the losses in my life that I realized that Spirit was with me the whole time. I had to put it in that perspective. And I, like you, was raised in a Southern Baptist church. So I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know of the angels. I didn't know these things. As I tell in my story, I quit going to church when I was 14 because I was told that, if I didn't follow these rules, I was going to be a hypocrite. And I didn't know what a hypocrite was. I just knew I didn't want to be one.
It did not sound good, did it?
It did not sound good at all. You know, banging that pulpit, you're going to go to hell. I'm sorry, but that was what it was. And
that's the way it was in our church.
Yeah. And there were just so many rules that I didn't believe were God's rules. What I was experiencing at the time, I believe my God is a loving God, and I just could not even fathom some of these things. And I'm not criticizing religion. If that's your path, then that's your path, and it's wonderful. But as you said, spirituality is a personal path.
Yes.
So anyway, I wrote Go Where They Are. They gave me the title many, many years ago. I did not know it was going to be about my journey until I started writing it. And then once I put it in the perspective of everything in my life, that was Spirit working with me, and then I take you through my spiritual awakening, as they call it. But to me, that's only becoming aware of your connection with Spirit. And then I started working with different archangels that started coming in and doing different work. And I laugh because there could have been so many different directions I could have went, but that book falling off the shelf 3 times in the bookstore about journeying with the archangels, to me was God saying, hey, pay attention here.
It's your turn.
And it opened up a whole new world for me. And so it is on ebook and on Amazon, published by Teresa, Women on a Mission, and we will be having paperback very, very soon, and I'm so excited.
This week, we go to paperback this week, so you'll be able to get it. And I think that's so important. Just like Bernadette said, when she started to, write her stories, that's a different part of your journey. It's a different part of your path. It's really an opening and an awareness for you to be able to share that part of your soul and your journey with others. It's different to write it out.
Right.
So, Bernadette?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I actually started a book in 2009 after my near death. I always had known an awareness. And it's like you said, it's my personal journey. And it's still sitting on since 2009. But having Teresa's books and done that, my plan is this year that will finish. It's where that took me. And just to what Teresa was saying there, to me, I was raised Catholic. But it wasn't. It was strict, but in a different way, and lots of way women had no voice in that. And but for me, religion, it's not just Catholic. It's everything. It's me. It's it's the love, that unconditional love and respect and regard for others. And again, it was quite hypocritical, like Teresa was saying there. People would go to mass on Sundays and they'd be so devout, but they didn't live like that. In society, I can't be a hypocrite. I can't lie. I can only be honest and come from my heart, an open heart. And I'm sad to say I had to let people go from my life, some of the most closest people in my life, because their ethics and their morality wasn't the same as mine. So I feel if you can't be yourself and connect with who you are and your love, or your, like I said, your spirituality, your awareness, and as Teresa said, I'm with that. We're all. It's unique to each individual. Our religion is us. Each of us here, Teresa, Diane and I, we each bring our part to make the world a better place. That's what I feel. We all have backgrounds in different religions that may have been not pleasant, and for me too, but it's how we take that and how we mold that and where we bring it. I think it was a stepping stone, like Teresa said, all of our life, our lived experiences. Each experience in my life, I never look at it, and there have been quite a few. I don't look at them and if ever been bad and good, I look at them as that's my education, that's my tool, that's my skill given from a power greater than me to move forward. I have all that academic. That doesn't make any difference. That's just, as you said, that's college, that's whatever. That's up here. What I bring is from in my heart, from in here. Right. And that's pains and griefs and whatever. The happiness, it's not all, it's the celebrations of life too, that we often get stuck in the negative, but there's so much celebration as well in life and bringing that together. So yeah, so hopefully
in the midst of
I'll be coming through the year with my book. Pardon?
Even in the midst of the negative, there's positive. I mean, absolutely. My daughter went through experiences with domestic violence, and in the midst of that came our granddaughter, the fourth of her children. She was a beautiful celebration, and I remember that I gave her a baby shower, and we celebrated the baby because even though we were in the midst of dealing with all of the agony of the end of her marriage, the end of who she thought he was going to be, the fact that he's not going to be a father to those children, he's not going to step up and do what he's supposed to do. I remember thinking in my heart, this baby needs to be celebrated. She's a gift from God. No matter how many people would say, oh, you shouldn't have had any more. You knew how he was. No, she's a gift from God. Her life is going to change things. She's going to do things. She was put here for a purpose. And she should be celebrated just as much as the other three were celebrated when they came, regardless of the circumstances. And I think that sometimes we get so caught up in the negative that we forget to celebrate the positive. We forget to celebrate the little glimmers of hope and love and just outstanding love that, you know, that is just pure love from above that's given to us. And so we forget about that when we're, you know, in the midst of our lives. We get so caught up in what's going wrong that we don't celebrate what went right. So we're coming to the end. So Diane, you tell us how we can reach you, how they can get a hold of you.
You can go to my website, DianeMorgan.com, DIANNE, Morgan.com, or you can reach me on Facebook at Diane Morgan, Spiritual Author and Teacher.
Bernadette, tell us how we can reach you.
Okay, you can get me on Bernadette Garvin, it's GARVIN.com also, that's my website. And I'm also on Facebook. My Facebook page is really not a personal page, it's for people that follow me. And I also have my own radio show, Angelic Williams Radio, on a Sunday. And that's at 7 p.m. Irish time. It's 2 p.m. New York time, so I'll let you figure the times out from there. And I've got two groups. My message of hope, it's Angel of Hope Messages, and there's 22,000 people on that. And another one is Angels Watch Over You Through Sickness. So those are on Facebook, so through any of those they can get me.
I want to thank y'all for being on today. I know it's Sundays, it's our day of rest, but I'm so thankful that y'all could come on. We wanted to make sure that we could accommodate Bernadette since she's in Ireland. Her time is so much different than ours. And so I know I've spoke to her at 2 and 3 in the morning before. Her time is a lot different than ours. But I'm so glad that both of you could come on and be a part of the Telesummit. I will be sending you the information to write for the magazine article, as we're having everybody write 200 words of inspiration for the article. And I thank y'all again for being a part of it and just being a part of Women on a Mission and really helping us to change the world one story at a time. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you. Goodbye. Bye. Lovely to meet you guys.